right, everyone. Welcome to JMac Investing. My name is Jason. We have a special treat today. We have the CEO of Slinger Bag Incorporated, Mike Ballardie, with us. But before we get into an interview with him, I wanted to just put out there that I'm invested into the company, but I'm a retail investor, and my full disclosure is down in the video description below. So go check that out. That being said, how you doing, Mike? Welcome, and I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourself.
No, thanks, Jason. Yeah, nice to be here on the show, and thanks for taking the time. My background. So I'm over in London, the other side of the big pond, not far from Wimbledon, the home of tennis. And my background really has always been in the sports industry. I started out when I was young as a professional tennis player, for a little while a tennis teacher. And eventually I got, as my parents used to say, a real job, and I started working for Wilson Sporting Goods at the bottom of the ladder and worked my way up over many, many years to running their racket sports division. And I introduced into the market as part of that some great product in tennis rackets, some of the most famous products that have been sold probably. I was there a long time. I moved over to a company called VF Corporation, which is a hugely successful company in the United States, and I ran a division of the JanSport business, so the book bag business, which I set it up outside of the United States, all over the world, for quite a number of years, and that was pretty successful. And then in 2003, I got sucked back into the tennis business again with some former colleagues, and actually, together with a private equity group, we acquired the Prince brand, one of the most famous brands in tennis. We bought it at a point when it was in a downswing, losing money as a global entity, and over a period of 4 years, we turned it into a highly successful 120 million, 12 million EBITDA type business, and sold it again. So, the equity investors that were with us were very happy. So, and then we, as a management group, we stayed on with the company. And eventually I became the CEO in 2012 and stayed there with Prince until 2016. Figured I'd done enough in tennis in my life, and then out of the blue one day at the beginning of 2019, one of the private equity groups that I'd been involved with told me that I needed to see this thing called Slinger. Took a look at it on the website, watched the video, and here I am today, having set up the company, and I'm running it as its CEO again. So it's a great invention. So that's kind of my synopsis of how I got here.
Well, I'm kind of connecting the dots with the JanSport bag and then the tennis rackets and your career in tennis. It all came together in Slinger Bag. All in one.
That's right. That's right. So actually, believe it or not, the bag itself, the Slinger Bag, is an incredibly good piece of kit on its own as a bag, so with all my experience with bag suppliers and what it takes to make a good bag, you're right, it came together nicely.
Yeah, and I will say that you all were nice enough to send me a bag, and I do play tennis occasionally, kind of as just a hobby, but I actually got a tennis pro to review it. So at the end of this, after we conclude our interview, I'm going to just play a clip of the tennis pro reviewing it, and she had really good feedback. So
yeah, very good.
So how long were you the CEO of Prince?
Just a little shy of 4 years. So I stayed there until the company got sold to a licensor brand in New York, and that wasn't for me. So I thought I'd done enough in tennis, and I thought I would go off and do something completely different. So but here I am.
Excellent. Can you, for those unfamiliar with Slinger Bag, can you kind of give just a high level about the founder and how the product came about?
Absolutely, yeah. So we always say about Slinger that it's a product that's designed by the tennis player for the tennis player, and Joe Calfa is the founder of the product. He's a very successful entrepreneur in his own right, but he's also what I call a crazy avid tennis player. He's one of these guys that has the fortune to be able to play tennis most days, and he actually located his office. He's in Israel. He's located in Israel. He located his office right next to a country club so that he could get out on the court for a couple of hours every day. Through his experience, he experienced what most tennis players find out for themselves, which is, tennis is, obviously it's a game where you need two people. And the hardest thing actually in tennis is finding the right partners to play against. Because if I used to be a reasonably good tennis player, and if you're a beginner, Jason, then if I was playing against you, you probably wouldn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't enjoy it, and you may not play tennis again, and that's a lot of what happens in tennis. So one day he tried the ball machine, the typical traditional ball machine that's located at the tennis club, and he decided it was cumbersome, heavy, difficult to use, complicated. It took him a long time to get it going, and he thought, crikey, there must be an easier way of doing this. And he had his eureka moment, which was, okay, why don't we put a basic ball machine in a trolley bag? So he took that idea, got it commercialized by a design company in Israel, and then he decided to test the market for it by running a Kickstarter campaign to see if other like-minded tennis players would have an interest in it. And in a very short space of time, he found himself with 3,500 Kickstarter customers and $1 million in his pocket to develop it. So and then I got involved in the beginning of 2019. So it's a product, as I said at the beginning, a product for tennis players, designed and developed by tennis players, so which is why it's pretty successful so far.
Yeah, very much. I've also just doing my own due diligence and looking over the landscape. Is very much a grassroots, like through the Kickstarter campaign, tons of people reviewing it on their own on YouTube and stuff. So a lot of grassroots momentum for the product for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's surprising. It's a product for every level of player and any age. So I think I've managed to get 12 of the world's top 20 players. I've actually got one. So Roger Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Murray, Monfils. If you know tennis, all these guys have got one. Venus Williams asked us to send her one the other day, so we're in the process of doing that. That's one level of tennis. The other level is someone who just wants to get out and have a little workout. Who's just starting to play tennis. It's as good for them as it is for the people at the top of the game.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, those are big names. I'm sure that'll that in and of itself, having those players have the bag, dragging them on the court. I mean, that would be advertising in and of itself, having that level of talent, having a bag.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And as you've seen, I think, the reviews that get posted are by people who, are regular tennis players, and, they're very heartfelt review. Not, sometimes there's some honest criticism. Not everything works well all of the time. So, but we've managed to take a lot of the information that we've had fed back to us, and even over the last, I would say, 12 months, we've even improved the product to another level, based on all of that.
Very good. Very good. So what would you say, what competitive advantages do you have patent-wise and or just in the market? What would you say are your competitive advantages?
Well, firstly, everything is fully patented, both utility and design patented around the world. So we have 3 patents on the product. One is the fact that it's a ball throwing device that's located in a bag. The second is the separated oscillating plate, which is a separate piece that you can buy to go with it. And the third thing that we have patented is a ball collector tube, which is a telescopic ball collector tube, which is nothing like that on the market, which helps you pick up the balls after you've been, worn out by the launcher itself. In terms of, why would people buy this product? Well, first we focused on 3 things: transportability. So it's very easy to wheel the bag around. It's like a piece of luggage you would go on vacation with. It's 33 pounds in weight. So it's very easy to move around in and out of your car onto the court. Second is versatility, which means that it's a product where you can keep all of your tennis gear in it: your rackets, your shoes, your stuff you take to the court, drinks bottles, towels, things like that. And the third thing is it's affordable for each and every tennis player. So we have a starting entry price point of $550, which means it's affordable for a beginner. And if you buy the full kit with all the added bits on, then you're paying $675. So it's a attractive product from that point of view.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just looking around the landscape with other products. I could not believe that it was priced at the price point it was, of $550. A lot of them are well over $1,000. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and so we're able to do that because we've decided to run this business as a direct-to-consumer model. So obviously we're importing the product into the U.S. from China where it's made, and we're selling it direct to the consumer. And the whole reason behind that is that we can maintain the affordability aspect of it. That's a critical piece. Just one other thing about the product. One analogy I always make is that I probably play more golf today than I do tennis, but all golfers keep their golf bag in the car, in the trunk of the car, and your golf bag has clubs and balls and shoes and waterproofs and candy bars and drinks and teas and everything in it. And if you have an hour, and you're a golfer, you head to the driving range and you hit some golf balls. Well, actually, Slinger is the tennis version of that, in my opinion. So keep it in your car and off you go. And if you fancy hitting some tennis balls, now you can. You don't need to ring up and find someone to play with or book a court or anything. You can just go play.
Yeah, that's a great analogy there. So let's talk about some of the partnerships that you all have entered into. You got Wilson making balls, and then there's a couple others, sport glasses. And through my research, I was finding a few different partnerships. Can you talk about those?
Yeah. So, obviously we're, selling a tennis ball launching machine. The obvious partner is to find someone to provide us with high quality tennis balls, because it's important to use really good quality balls when you play with the machine. And so we've partnered with Wilson in the United States for that. We're also partnered, by the way, the ball partnership is very important because it's Wilson have introduced a brand new ball called the Trinity, which is co-branded now with Slinger. And this ball is recyclable. It's one of the first recyclable tennis balls ever produced. And we're also partners with the Tennis Ball Recycling Company, which is in Northern Virginia. And, so we're contributing to the environmentally friendly aspect of recycling tennis balls, because we obviously with the tennis ball machine, people are going to go through a lot of tennis balls, so that's a nice partnership on the side for us. We're in the middle of finalizing some other agreements with specialist companies in sports glasses, in some footwear maybe, or in some court accessories items that will help the tennis player have fun when they're playing tennis. It will help them make it easier to play the game of tennis. So, so we've got some things going on like that. We have made some endorsement partnerships as well. So we are, locked at the hip with Mike and Bob Bryan, the Bryan brothers, the most famous doubles duo probably in the world playing tennis. And they're great brand ambassadors for us. They're active on a daily basis. One, using the machines, the launchers themselves, and secondly, in helping us promote it. There's been some very good articles recently in the Washington Post, New York Times about them. So, that's great. They're great guys. And we're also partnered with the most famous tennis teacher in the world, a guy called Nick Ballardie. He's down in Florida. And he's coached 10 of the world's best players over his life. No one's ever done that. So, he's a true advocate of Slinger and how it helps tennis pros educate their tennis students in a much more friendly and a much more appropriate way, allowing them to be on the same side of the court as the student rather than shouting from the other side of the net.
Yeah, and it does have that neat feature, the ball boy feature, where you can tosses it to you, and you can hit serves with it. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. I've got some video footage of some of the top players in the world using it for that point of view, because if you spend an hour practicing your serve, it can be backbreaking, bending down, picking up the balls or out of a basket or something. So, here it is. It's a cute feature. It goes on the side of the court and it'll lob the balls into your hand in regulation, so you can practice your serve. And actually, Jason, thinking about that, we were contacted by a group of NFL players, wide receivers, who wanted to get hold of slingers to practice catching. So we've also supplied those guys. I don't remember that. Some of them are quite famous wide receivers. I'm sorry, but I don't remember. I'm not a big NFL fan, so I don't remember all their names. But that was quite obviously it wasn't designed for that, but it obviously has a function that works for them.
I guess just to work on hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, exactly. They figure out that if they can catch a tennis ball, they can catch a football. So
that's neat. That's really cool. In one of your recent SEC filings, I saw there was a PR newswire about the FK Sports Nordic distribution agreement.
Yes, yeah. We've so part of what I'm doing at the moment is that with my contacts throughout the tennis world, country to country, we are building a very strong platform of distribution partners around the world. Outside the US is the biggest market for tennis. There's 4 million regular tennis players in the United States. The next biggest market is Japan, and we've also signed a long-term distribution agreement with a very successful, well-known Japanese tennis company, Globrite Inc. That's in place. The third largest markets are in Europe, in Germany and France, and I'm about to sign a very significant deal for those markets, which will get announced in the next couple of weeks. And then already in Europe, we've signed up, as you say, Scandinavian markets, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, under one group, and we've signed up Switzerland under one group. Australia and New Zealand are already signed up. So, day to day, we're making new agreements as as these highly respected companies want to get on board with us and help promote and market and sell Slinger products.
That's awesome. So that'll really host the expansion, it seems like, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's tennis is a global sport first and foremost, and played equally by men and women, and it's a sport you can play from probably about the age of 3 to 93, if not longer. So, and in the United States, actually, there's a version of tennis which is incredibly fast growing called pickleball, and many tennis clubs are putting pickleball courts in now, which allows the let's say the older generation to play on a smaller court with a paddle and a wiffle ball. And, we'll be introducing later this year a pickleball version of our tennis launcher. So, to cater for those people. So that's a big growing sport.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because when I was with the tennis pro and we were trying it out, there was 2 courts, and one court was early on a Sunday morning, and there was a group of guys, a whole big group of, like, I don't know, 20, 30 guys playing pickleball. So, and that kind of got into where I wanted to get you to talk about some of the expansion, so that, I mean, obviously now being publicly traded, everyone's going to be looking for you to expand the product lineup rather than just one product, and that kind of ties into, you got that one coming down the pipeline. I've heard you talk of other potential products. Can you touch on some other ones that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, obviously, first and foremost, we want to be hugely successful in tennis. That's our priority, and tennis includes pickleball. It also includes padel tennis, which is another version of tennis that's growing pretty big around the world. And just to put into perspective, people who go on our market page, SLBG, if you go look on there, you can actually see a presentation we have on there, which will give you some of our financial objectives, and those financial objectives represent at the moment about half of 1% of all of the regular tennis players around the world. That's what, if we could get a Slinger to half of 1% of all those players, then we'll meet and exceed our financial objectives that we've got shown on our website. So that's the first thing we have to do. But you're right that we need to look at how we could translate the concept of Slinger, portable, versatile, and affordable, to other sports. So we've got some drawings and ideas about baseball, softball, a sport called cricket for the outside the US, which is a huge sport in many markets. We've even got some ideas for soccer. Believe it or not, soccer has ball throwing machines that pitch the ball in from the side of the field, so people can head and practice kind of volley shots and things like that. So, but I think our next primary target, once we get established in tennis, will be the baseball, softball kind of angle. And I think you'll know better than me the scope of that market if we were to come out with a product that would work in the same way for that sport as it does for tennis.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like a lot of the feedback of Slinger Bag, which would, if the pandemic continues, it provides you the ability to socially distance but still practice. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, no company wants to benefit directly from a terrible situation around the world, but as everybody reads about these days, home fitness equipment, is in high demand. And so we kind of fit into that. And if you look at our Instagram page, you'll see people using their Slinger Bag in their living rooms and in their backyards, front drives, all kinds of strange, wonderful places. They're finding ways to have fun and keep a bit active. And of course, on a serious note, the tennis federations, the USTA, who governs tennis in the United States, one of their key recommendations under these conditions is to play with a ball machine. So, that kind of lends itself obviously to what we're doing. So, yeah.
Excellent. So what would be a path towards getting on other exchanges outside of OTC?
Well, yeah. So firstly, we need to build up our liquidity on the OTC. We need to deliver our first revenues. Actually, very interestingly, one of the things that's going to help us is that over the past 6 weeks, we've been running a pre-sale campaign in the United States, pre-selling Slinger product. And we've been doing that with a caveat on our website that says available in 60 days, which, to be honest, not many people normally would buy something, pay their money for something and wait 60 days for the delivery. But so we're posting our first ever revenues, which is the first step in building liquidity on the pink sheet markets and, building our share price upwards, to allow us to move up to firstly to the QB, which I think we'll do in a very short space of time, and then over a couple of years we hope to be on the Nasdaq. I think all things are moving in the right direction in terms of that.
Excellent. Well, today it can be found under the ticker symbol SLBG on the OTC. So I think that's all the questions I have, Mike. I really appreciate your time and coming on. Any last thoughts that you wanted to share with the audience before we go?
Yeah, if anyone's out there is thinking about giving tennis a try, then feel free to try it. Don't feel uncomfortable about playing tennis. Just check out Slinger. Maybe get one and use that to get you into it before you venture down to the local club.
Yes, sir. Very good. And you can also find all this information and the investor relations on slingerbag.com. Now I'm going to move into the review portion with the Tennis Pro.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so my name is Chelsea Mills. I'm a USPTA elite professional. I've been in the business for the last 12 years or so. I played Division I college tennis, and I've coached both high school and college level tennis.
There you go. She's got the goods, so now she's going to try out the machine.
Yeah, so I love how you can just grab one bag, have all your rackets in it, all your stuff in it, and it looks just like a tennis bag. But then when you get to the court, you can open it up, and it's a ball machine. If you need to practice your strokes or you don't have a partner that day, I think it's really a cool concept instead of lugging around a big machine, plus your rackets and everything. So I love the overall concept of the machine. It seems to be easy to use, user-friendly, remote start and everything, so I love all of that. And it definitely gave me a good workout. So it has some good speed options in terms of how quickly the machine feeds. It also has an oscillator option where you can move around the court. So definitely an opportunity to get a great workout. Yeah, so I think I would love for an option to be able to vary this amount of spin. I felt that each feed had a good amount of topspin on it, and was wondering if there was a possibility to decrease the amount of topspin, potentially for some lower level rec players, having that ability, that ability to sort of flatten the ball out and have a ball that doesn't have spin, or even create a ball that has backspin. So just curious about the variability there, what's possible on that end. But overall, it was a great time.